in it. It is a beautiful thing. The Lakers are officially in the play-in after a huge win against Memphis, and the Lakers are really rolling. They're really cruising. We're supposed to be getting Dilo back. The word is against the Toronto Raptors on Friday. Hopefully that happens. Hopefully there's no setbacks or anything like that, because that would just be absolutely huge. Kind of balance out the roster, help with scoring, help with playmaking. That should help guys like Anthony Davis have an easier time, as well as even guys like Malik Beasley, who has kind of struggled shooting, but he's having to work twice as hard just to get shots, just to get any type of shots, not even quality shots, off. And Dilo will really help with that. It's not a coincidence that Malik Beasley was shooting way better with LeBron and Dilo before they ended up getting injured and were being out. So I do expect many guys, not just Malik Beasley, but guys in general, to just have an easier time with the playmaker and a guy that can operate and score at all three levels, which will be huge. But we'll dive into Dilo here more a little bit. But again, the Lakers, we're in it. Lakers have been playing great. Anthony Davis has really been leading this team, and it's been an absolute monster these last handful of games. This is a team that I really believe can fight at least that 7th or 8th spot. I really do. I think we can get that 7th or 8th spot, but would love to squeeze into that 6th seed. We're not that far away. I mean, if you look at the standings right now, we are currently in 10th. We are the 10th seed. We are only half a game at a 9th against the Pelicans, who the Pelicans do play today. They do play the Dallas Mavericks. So we need Dallas to beat the Pelicans. We also need the Celtics to beat the Blazers. And then the Raptors, if they can find a way to beat the Clippers, that would just be beautiful. And then the Suns need to beat the Thunder. That'll help us out. That'll give us some separation and give us some games on a couple of these teams. So again, we're right there. And still, these standings are just so tight. This is very likely going to come down to the wire. I've said it before. Lakers just got to keep doing their job. Keep winning, keep beating the teams in front of you, take it a game at a time, and we'll be on the inside looking out without a doubt. I think bare minimum, we should be able to get to that 7th or 8th spot. And I think if we can get in there, I like our chances. I really do. Because at that point, you only have to win one game. You have 2 chances to win one. That gets us into the playoffs. Very likely the way it's looking like it's going to shape up, we'll likely either be playing the Kings, because I think the Grizzlies are really going to have a drop-off, playing the Kings, or we'll be playing Denver, which I really think we could beat either team, in my opinion. But again, all of these teams, beauty is a lot of these teams continue to play each other. We still have a game against the Pelicans. We have a game against the Clippers. We have a Mavericks game coming up, a Timberwolves game coming up. We need to win those games, because that'll start allowing us to get a full game on these teams and really start giving us that separation as we move forward and climb these standings. I mean, we're only 2 games out of 5th place, which, again, we're right there. And look at it like this. So we have this next stretch of 4 games, right? I mean, obviously we have more games than that, but we have the Raptors game and the Knicks game. If we can win those 2 games, we're at 500 going into the Pelicans and the Rockets game, which the Rockets, that should be a win. And then the Pelicans game, that is a must win, right? Like, that is an absolute, like, we have to win that game more so than any of these other 3. Because the Pelicans, again, are a team that we're fighting for, and we need to get separation from them. We've beaten them twice, get this 3rd time. So even if we finish with the same record, we have the tiebreakers. We can pull ahead, and whatever spot we land, we'll actually land ahead of them. So, if it's for the 8th seed, well, then we would jump into the 8th seed. Pelicans would be the 9th. So got to get that Pelican win. That is a huge one on the calendar of these next 4. But beauty is, and the reason I'm talking about these 4 specifically, because one, again, if we beat the Raptors and Dilo comes back, then that puts us a game behind 500, and then the Knicks would put us at 500 going into the Pelicans and Rockets game. Again, I think we should beat the Rockets. Very likely, though, Anthony Davis won't play that Rockets game. That's probably how this will shape up, because the Lakers really don't want him to have to play back-to-backs, and really don't, you don't want him to get hurt. So that's another reason this Pelican game is going to be very, very important, because we may, depending on how Mo Bamba shapes up and all that stuff, we may be very small going into that Rockets game, and we may be without several guys just for the reason of just, hey, we want to keep AD healthy as much as possible, which I completely understand. But I still believe, even without Anthony Davis, I think guys will step up, and the Rockets are a winnable game. And look, they're trying to lose games, right? They're trying to just call it a night and tank for Victor Wembanyama, and right now they are doing the best at that. So I imagine that we could still get that win even without. Even if we don't have AD, LeBron, and Dilo, right? Like if they sat Dilo and AD, I still think we could beat that Rockets game. But regardless, let's say that happens, right? If we can win these next 4 games, all of a sudden we're 2 games over 500, and we have like another 5-game homestand or 4-game homestand, which would be absolutely huge if we could do that. Because at that point, all you need to do is just, protect home court. Now, that homestand is a lot tougher than the last one. You got the Mavericks as that first game on the 17th, and then you got the Magic, which should be a W, the Suns, which I think will be tough, especially without LeBron, and then the Thunder, which again becomes another must-win, and then lastly, the Bulls. So that would round out this little homestand between March 17th and March 26th. I think that the 26th or that second Bulls game on the 29th, that will very likely be when LeBron comes back, somewhere around that time. Ideally, I would like LeBron to come back for either that first or second Bulls game also, because on the 31st, we play the Timberwolves, and that is huge. That is a very big game, because that game may be the deciding factor of which one of us has the better record, right? So if we can get that win against the Timberwolves, then that might be the one that puts us into that 6th spot if we win our last 5 games, which our last 5 games are relatively easy. We should at least go 3-2 in those last 5 games at the very least, because we got the Rockets, the Jazz, the Clippers, the Suns, and the Jazz. But the Suns and the Clippers, well, especially the Suns, the Clippers might not, but the Suns, they might just be resting guys. They might sit Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and KD that game. So we might not even have to face the real Suns. They might keep Ayton, but outside of that, I could see them basically sitting everybody in that game, because it's literally the second to last game of the season. They might just rest guys so that way they're healthy and getting ready to go into the playoffs, where they may end up playing like the Warriors, which is crazy. That would be an interesting matchup. But we'll see. The Warriors have a lot of road games, and they're still losing road games. But regardless, talking about the Lakers. So again, I do have quite the optimism when it comes to the Lakers' schedule moving forward, and our ability to get to that over 500 area, which I really think the Lakers can. And Dilo back is just going to help just take so much of the burden away from the current Lakers, right? You get another consistent guy. I mean, Dilo is a model of consistency. I mean, the guy has averaged 17 points per game like every year. But he is a guy that we've seen. He's gone, and if he needed to, can give you 20 plus a night. I mean, he's had seasons where he's averaged 22, 23 points per game. He's been the guy that has led a Brooklyn Nets team to the playoffs, right? So he's a guy that you can rely on to be that second guy. AD is obviously going to be the monster that he is. Well, D'Lo's just going to help and make things so much easier for AD and just everybody in general. Like I said, Malik Beasley, just D'Lo's ability to play make is really going to be helpful. I'm not saying he's some elite, Magic Johnson level playmaker, but his size, his ability really does help. He seemed to have some nice already made chemistry with AD. Him and AD looked really good. Him and LeBron looked really good. So that's very promising for when LeBron gets back. I really think if we had D'Lo this entire stretch, I really truly believe we wouldn't have lost the game, because that first Memphis game, if anybody else showed up, we probably win that game. I also think if D'Lo was our primary ball handler, we wouldn't have had 26 turnovers. I also think that Minnesota game, same thing. I think D'Lo, even if he just gave us 10 points, I think that would have been just massive for us and could have very well been the difference. So that D'Lo is going to continue to help in those areas, because even the games that, say, going forward, those tight games, those tougher games, right? Even this Grizzlies game, I think with Dilo, this game would have been a much farther separated game, the one that we played yesterday against Memphis, because his ability, again, to just make things easier for everybody else, and a guy that can be a consistent scorer, his ability to score at all three levels is just, it's so helpful. We don't really have another guy that can do that to the level that Dilo can, right? Like, Rui, not really a three-point shooter. He's a midi guy. AD, yes, he can score at the rim. He could score, in that mid-range. He could score from three, but he's not like an elite three-point shooter. He's not shooting, 38% from three. He's more of like the mid-range around the basket type guy. He's like great in that like 15 to 10-foot mid-range. He kind of struggles once he starts getting past that 15-foot area. But Dilo, his ability to knock it down from pretty much anywhere, just going to open up so much. And we already see, even when Beasley is having a rough game, right? Even when he's not shooting the lights out, every team has a guy that's just glued to him. So the Lakers are able to play essentially 4-on-4 because he's such a just deterrent. They have somebody just glued to him. He's just running around all over the place trying to get open, but that guy's following him. Or sometimes you see a guy will get lost and somebody will switch on him. So Dilo being on the court next to him, he just becomes that other guy, right? So now you can't double team AD. And that just makes things so much harder for opposing defenses. Not just that, but guys like Rui, for example, right? Like one of the big things, Rui had a great game last night, but he got his looks and he got them in his spots where he's best at. Dilo is going to do a better job of that. Dennis Schroeder is a great backup point guard. Not very good as your starting point guard from a playmaker standpoint. He gets tunnel vision a lot at times, and he doesn't see the whole court, where Dilo just does a better job of that. Dilo is better at recognizing matchups. Like, that was the thing that was huge in the last game, and Austin Reeves was the guy, though. Austin Reeves noticed the Rui mismatches, right? So Austin Reeves was setting Rui up beautifully. I mean, he was setting up everybody. It was just a beautiful display by Reeves last night. But regardless, like that's the difference, right? There are countless times, and I've said this in past videos, like if you go watch Rui when he's on the court, there are several times throughout the course of a game in which Rui has the mismatch and the Lakers just completely offlook him. They didn't last night, and he abused it, and he gave us 17, right? Like, that's why. They need somebody that can identify those things, because it just makes everything so much more easier. Not just that, but Dilo already has a built-in chemistry with Beasley, with Vanderbilt, some of these guys, right? So that'll help in and of itself. And now you have this 1-2 punch of better consistency rather than, we need everybody to step up, right? And we saw that game where it was like, man, if just one other guy stepped up, we win this game. Dilo is going to be that consistent guy. He's fine. Like, he can go get you 10 and 8 if you need him to, but he can also go get you 20 and 10 if you need him to. Like, whatever is asked of him, he has that ability to do so. And he's just going to give that other guy. I mean, it's not a coincidence that every game we've won, we've had 5 or 6 guys in double figures, and we have 27 to 30 assists, right? Dilo just becomes another guy. So now you have, instead of maybe 5 or 6 guys a night that give you double figures, you have 6 or 7 guys a night that give you double figures. It's going to help our offensive production. It's going to make things more smooth. Now Dennis Schroeder gets to play in that backup role against backup point guard, so he'll likely be more effective. He'll likely be more efficient. Austin Reeves can kind of play that like combo guard in lineups with Dilo or with Schroeder. That really helps as well. It makes things just so much more smoother, but it takes so much pressure off of AD, right? AD is capable of giving us he gave us 30 and 22 last night. He's capable of doing that on a nightly basis. That's what makes AD so great. But it would be nice if he didn't have to do that on a nightly basis, right? You don't want to wear him down. You don't want to run him out come playoffs. We still want to make the playoffs, and once we get to the playoffs, we want to still win, right? If we get to the playoffs, the goal is championship. The goal isn't, hey, let's get a first round win against the Kings and get ran out the building by like Denver or whatever, right? That's not what we want to do. That's not the goal. That's not the task at hand. Our job is to get to the playoffs and then have guys healthy enough to carry this load in LeBron, AD, and Dilo. LeBron is getting a ton of rest. That is huge, right? Yes, he's rehabbing his foot, but if his foot gets to be good and he's going to be able to rest his mind, his body this entire time, everything else, he was dealing with all kinds of little, knick-knack things. All of that stuff should be a lot better, and he should be a lot more efficient and effective and can kind of really make that push. But you don't want to wear out AD in the process. Dilo is going to help with that. So now with Dilo, we're going to see more games like before. Remember, there was that 2-3 game stretch where Anthony Davis only had 12, 13 points and people were losing their mind, but we still won those games. I want more of those, right? Because if AD doesn't have to go get you 30 a night to win the game, he can. If he needs to, he can. But it would be nice to get some games where, hey, Anthony Davis only played, 28 minutes and he had 12 points and 8 rebounds. Like, what happened? Oh, it's because the Lakers just ran this team out the building. Dilo was great. Dilo orchestrated everything. He chipped in with 25 and 12. Beasley shot, 7 of 11 from 3. Vando chipped in 10. Reeves chipped in 10. Lonnie chipped in. It's just like this team effort. I want more games like that because that's going to keep Anthony Davis fresh. That's going to keep guys fresh. If it's a team collective, and it just raises the value of everyone else. And I'm not talking from a trade perspective. I'm talking about a confidence and just game perspective, because you need these guys ready to go come playoffs. You can't just rely solely on, Dilo, Davis, and LeBron. Yes, they're going to win you more games than not, but you need the entire team to be able to step up. If you're running 10 deep, 8 deep, whatever, you need all 8 to 10 of those guys ready to go and rattle off some of these wins and just have that confidence going in. And I do think Dilo is going to help in those areas because he's going to just make things so much easier for everyone else. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Are you excited? Are you not? How do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are, love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below.